let's take a look at how we can use Excel to calculate the payment for a vehicle. We're going to use something called the payment formula or payment function. And that payment function is the format that looks like this, equals PMT, parenthesis, and then notice down below there, when you do that, the payment function will show up, and in parentheses it'll show you. You need to input the rate, NPER, which is the number of payment periods, and then PV is something called present value, which in our case is going to be the principal amount, the amount of money that we're actually going to borrow. And then these other items here are for a different type of calculation that we are not going to deal with. So I've got some examples here that we'll look at, and then we'll go through and do some practice. So take a look at this first loan, a vehicle price of $33,000, a down payment of 5%, which equals an amount of $1,650. And if we take our vehicle price minus our down payment, we end up with the principal amount, the amount of the loan, amount that we need to borrow. And then we have an interest rate, and in this case we have a 0% interest rate. The term of the loan is a 5-year loan. Payment periods 60, because 5 times 12 equals 60. And then here for the monthly payment is where we will put in that payment function. And so let's take a look at that real quickly. Double click that and you'll see there's equal PMT. So E8, which is the interest rate, divided by 12. Now this is very important, and this is where a mistake is made frequently. This interest rate is an annual interest rate, which means it's a yearly interest rate, and we're trying to calculate a monthly payment. Therefore, that interest rate must be converted to a monthly interest rate, and that gets done by simply dividing that interest rate by 12. The next item is the number of payment periods. In this case, I put 12 times F8, but we could simply just click on the 60. And then the principal amount, or the loan amount, we have to put in as a negative for some reasons that we won't discuss here, but D8 is the amount that we're actually borrowing. Let's take a look at this one. E9, interest rate divided by 12 again, and then we have to separate that with a comma to put in the number of payment periods, which in this case is at G9, 72 months, because 6 times 12 is 72 months, separated by another comma, insert the minus sign, and put the principal amount, or the amount that we actually need to borrow to get that loan. All right, let's go through this worksheet real quickly. First thing to do, calculate the down payment. Here's the price of the vehicle. In this case, $65,000 vehicle. Maybe this is we'll buy a motorhome for this one, looking at a 12-year loan term. Equal sign. The vehicle price times the down payment percentage. $1,293.50 is the amount of your money that you will have to put down in order to pay for this $65,000 vehicle. So the amount you need to borrow from the bank will then be the $65,000 minus your down payment. And then the last thing we need to calculate before we do our monthly payment is the number of payment periods. Simply the term of the loan times 12 months in a year, 144. 12 times 12, 144 monthly payments need to be made in order to pay off that loan right there. So what will our monthly payment be? Here we go. Equal sign. PMT, parenthesis. The little helper window comes up. We need to click on the rate. And our rate in this case is 5%. But that's a yearly rate, so we've got to divide that number by 12 months. Separate it by a comma. Next up, we need the number of payment periods. We calculated that to be 144. Separated by a comma. And the last thing is the principal amount of the loan. Once again, the negative sign first. Click on the amount of the loan. Don't forget the last parenthesis. And enter, and hopefully we did it correct, and there we are, $589.22 a month. So that's using the payment function to calculate a monthly payment.